All right, is everybody ready?
Ready.
Ready?
Ready.
You ready? You ready, faces?
You at least edit that part
They
out,
can't
right?
see my
No,
face.
we're not editing anything.
We don't edit nothing.
All right, guys, we have a very special episode of Ask AEAC here, and I'm fogging up, so I'm going to take those off right away. But we are filming today in, what's this little city called?
Mineola.
Mineola, which is near Claremont, Florida, so we're pretty much right outside Orlando, kind of in that area. And we're with the Central Florida Airgunners Club. Katya's going to ask our 10 or so readers questions, but we have garnered the help of this wonderful pool of knowledge to help get through these readers' questions or audience questions for you guys. Club president,
Sir.
come on up here
How
for a
do we
second.
join?
Yeah, so if you live in Florida and you want to get together with these guys, what's the best way to go about that?
Well, Mike's in charge of all of our social media and our Facebook page and everything. He might be better suited to answer that question.
Facebook.com/Central Florida Airgunners. All one word.
Easy peasy.
Okay, they go to your Facebook page and do what?
All they do is just ask to join and we'll get you approved in a couple of minutes.
And do you post like updates about your events and when you're gonna
We do.
have?
We put events up there. We have the GPS location to this specific spot. So if you want to show up and have a shoot with a bunch of us on our monthly meet, or smaller meets that you guys can organize amongst the group to come in and shoot as well, that's also an option.
And you're meeting the third
cool.
Saturday of third Saturday of every month,
weekend
right?
of every month.
Third
We
weekend.
try
Third weekend.
Saturday or Sunday.
Okay. So that's cool. So basically, you know, it's not like a super formal thing where if you're following the
No.
Facebook page, you want to go to an event, you
No,
see the
if
date,
you want to
see
show
location,
up to that event,
have at it.
awesome. If you
That's
want to
correct.
get 5 or 10 people together and
That's
go on
cool.
a different day, we can do that too.
Awesome.
Nice.
All right, before we get started, guys, this episode of AEAC was made possible by Airguns of Arizona over in Phoenix, Arizona. So please think of those guys first for all of your airgunning needs. And guys, where do we shop for all our airgunning needs?
Airguns of Arizona!
All right, great start.
Except for Robert. So, to kick us off, first question. Everyone's backed up, by the way. We all started touching
Yeah,
the table,
everyone
but
needs
then
to
as
come
soon
a
as
lot
the camera
closer.
started rolling, everyone backed up by like a solid 12 feet. Okay, so first question is about the Air Venturi Avenger .22 setup guide.
Okay.
It is from Shadow Wizard.
Shadow Wizard.
Very clever. I like your little. Anyway, what is the quietest suppressor Donnie makes? Oh, Donnie.
My
What is the
question, huh?
quietest suppressor you make?
So if you guys don't know Donnie FL or are familiar with this product, we actually have Donnie here today because he only lives
Donnie.
an hour from this coordinate.
Yeah.
His exact address
Kind
is.
of a special guest star. As you can see, he's got some fans in the audience. But do you want me to take that or you want to talk?
You can take it.
So well,
That's a quiz, just so you know.
Yeah.
This is a test now.
I mean, I can only speak from my experience. Like when I am using Donnie's suppressors to, you know, kind of tune an air gun, I've noticed, obviously the larger the suppressor, it tends to suppress better. But I have found that you don't always need to go to the largest suppressor to get really good sound suppression. Like I've always felt like the really good quieting always comes from purchasing the suppressor that is closest to the caliber of the bore. So normally I always plus size up. So if I have a 22 cal air gun, I'm always buying a 25 cal moderator to leave room for there not being proper alignment between everything, because that's just part of the game. However, if I can get away with a 22 caliber suppressor on a 22 caliber gun, I always try to go that route because that's going to make it quieter. But in some instances, I'll have to go to a 30 cal, like on the Air Venturi Avenger when we reviewed that.
Yep.
I needed a 30 cal moderator on a 22 cal air gun just because of the differences in the in the tolerances.
Yep. And the reason why I push it to Steve on the 22 because I have a 25, and the 25 is a little bit louder from my experience. So I actually put the Ronin on that thing, and with the Ronin, like all you hear is the pellet slap and a little quick hammer slap. You know, but other than that, I don't think you need a Ronin. We've had people who are successful with like even the smallest Tonto or a Tatsu.
Like this
So yeah, like that. This is a Tonto right here.
Tonto
It's a
30.
good,
compared to something like,
The
That's the
Emperor.
Emperor
Yeah.
on
yeah,
the
like
30.
that.
Yep. And again, I always tell people it's all based on people's preference and what their shooting situations are. I mean, in my old house, I had like 10 feet away from my neighbor, so we had to use the biggest suppressor for maximum suppression. But if you have like a little more wiggle room with your neighbors, a small suppressor will work out really well.
Awesome. You know, there's another whole piece of that to Donnie's point, is like I always approach it like kind of methodically. For example, there's the sound piece that's important, there's the accuracy piece that's important, there's the harmonics, the piece that's important. I always like to, I have all your suppressors, I think.
Yep.
And I like to try all of them on the gun because I may find that the gun's harmonics likes this size better than this size, or it likes that size better than that size, or maybe I'm shooting a big 30 cal or 357 that's really tuned to a lot of power, 95, 100 foot-pounds, and I found that often those guns will like more weight out front to kind of settle everything down, but then another gun tuned to the same power may get all cattywampus with that much weight. So it's really like a tuning game. So I found
your
this
FPF. I have this on low and it's pretty quiet, but if I was to crank it up, it's like it's not even there. It'll be sounding like a gunshot.
yeah,
If it's on max.
it's
Chris
all
Turk did a great article on toning and tuning with the Donnie FL.
Well, there comes center. They're nice and loud.
Chris Turek with Up North Airgunner, he did a real good article he posted on Facebook and a bunch of places, toning and tuning your air guns, and it was featuring, as you guys were saying, the harmonics and a bunch of the different features and specs of our guns, but specifically matching the suppressors or moderators, whatever you'd like to call them, with that. But he had a real good write-up on it.
Good deal.
It's worth taking a look at.
That's a very real piece. They are tuning devices every bit as much as they are there to keep the noise down.
So I have a question. I have a newbie question. So if I have a .22 and I'm going to get a .22 suppressor, are there different models in .22 that'll get me more suppression or less suppression?
There are, but I want to make sure that they're clear. Like if I own a 2.2 air gun, I'm not starting with a 2.2 suppressor.
Right,
I'm
right,
starting with a 25,
Yes.
and then maybe later seeing if I can get away with a 2.2.
Okay. So is there, when we're saying what's the quietest suppressor, that's pretty obvious, I'm assuming, on the website or when you're buying the silencer. Let's say I'm looking for this specific size. And
We
then
don't
I
say
want,
the S word on YouTube, by the way.
Yes, I remember. So
Moderator.
suppressor.
Suppressor moderator, take your pick.
Moderate. Okay. So if I'm going on the website though, and I'm saying, okay, I need this size, it's very clearly listed, like
It's the different
quietness.
size. You know, the suppression is all about, in air guns, it's all about the air volume, how much volume is in the suppressor.
Yeah.
So the bigger the volume, the quieter it is.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's a good reference point. That's what I was trying to get at for maybe
Larger the
somebody who
volume.
doesn't know. The greater the volume, the greater the size suppression.
Yeah.
Typically, yeah.
Okay.
The quietness chases the size.
Got it. Okay.
Another thing to keep in mind is the environment that you're in. If you're shooting indoors, let's say I'm shooting the impact here indoors, it's going to be louder inside still with a suppressor than it being outside. If there's
Nothing to bounce
walls
off of.
or anything that it can resonate, it'll sound loud. It'll sound louder inside.
For sure.
So it's another thing
That's
to
cool.
consider as well.
So as with anything air gunning, take a lot of different factors into consideration when making your choice.
Yes, and there's
Very
one more thing
tweakable.
I just thought of that's really important to this. So, like when I was doing the Avenger, like I would notice that it would be the same amount, it would be just as loud with that size suppressor as it would be like with that size suppressor. But if I were to step up to something like, you know, this impact here that's making like 80, 90 foot-pounds of energy,
Yeah.
the bigger ones really do a much, much better job of keeping the sound down. So there's all sorts of things you need to look at and consider when
Yeah.
you're making a moderator purchase.
Cool.
And
Okay.
to go back to Izzy's point, the reason why it's not just the muzzle that's echoing, it's the hammer slap on, like on these PCPs. A lot of people don't know, especially like newcomers, that these PCP, they have to hit that valve pretty hard with a hammer. And that's the thing that's echoing and making it sound like, it could be sound like a 22 rimfire going off.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Or the target hitting. Sometimes people get confused with
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these guns, they're louder here, whoa, than they are up there. Good point.
Interesting.
Let's all huddle in a little bit closer, guys.
Yeah.
We're getting a little far from the microphone. I want to make sure everybody
The
can hear
camera
us.
effect.
We have our masks on, and we're outdoors, so being as good as we
We're
can.
being extra safe. But if you guys can't hear us, too bad.
Sorry.
Okay, so next question is about the Air Venturi Avenger .22. This is from Killer Bro Empire. It's me. I don't know where to pause in that avatar. Killer Bro Empire. It's me. I don't know. Anyway, hello. I'm stuck on the .22 or the .25. This is in regards to the Avenger. Which one can make more foot-pounds?
Energy.
Energy.
Yeah, good job,
Which
guys.
is-
You're helping Katya out today.
Which is better at 50 yards? Good review as always. Been a sub for a while now. Just never comment. Well, cool. Thanks for commenting.
Yeah, thank you.
Your
Nice to have you.
avatar's worth it. Okay, so .22 or .25, which one makes more foot-pounds of energy, and which one is better at 50 yards?
Does anyone want to speak to this, or want me to start off?
So yeah.
So I had some conversation with Tyler Patner at Pyramid Air Insider. If you guys don't know, he is the product manager for Air Venturi. So he was the guy at the helm of that gun through the development with, with whatever the company is that they're doing all that with. And he actually measured the two, and the transfer port is a little bit larger on the 2.5 than it is the 2.2. So the 2.5 is capable of a little bit more power. Now, as far as which one's more accurate at 50 yards, that's kind of a double-edged sword for me, because I tend to find that the less powerful guns are easier to shoot further away. In other words, it's easier to be consistently accurate with them. On the other side of that, a heavier projectile moving faster tends to do better in windy conditions. It's more resistant to the external forces. So if there's not a lot of wind, I probably would say 22, and if you need to ratchet things up from there.
So the age-old balance question of power versus accuracy.
I don't want to send the message that powerful doesn't mean accurate, because a lot of these guns make 50, 60, 70, 80 foot-pounds, 90 foot-pounds, and they're accurate.
Yeah.
It just takes more skill from the shooter to be consistently accurate with them at 50 and 100 yards. If you clamp the gun in the vise, it's going to do its job. But air guns have an inherently slow shot cycle, and they move around a lot during that shot cycle. So unless they do their job, it gets more difficult as you go up in power.
Gotcha.
So you go up in weight, power, it's harder to shoot with.
Makes sense.
Anyone have anything to add to that?
No, you're spot on.
I was gonna say, if anyone
Good
disagrees,
information on it.
I am not the authority here. So there's lots of right answers.
Okay, so next one. This is about the Hotson Neutron Star .22. This is from Wouter Vandermeer. I hope someone can answer my question, because I don't know which caliber to use, .22 or .25. Because I will primarily shoot rabbit or pigeon, so .22 would be ideal, but I would like to take small hog, and for a small hog, I think I need .25.
So I'm not really a hunter. I know we have some hog hunters in the group. Maybe you could come up here and
Go ahead, Adam. That's all you.
speak to your experiences.
Adam?
Well, as far as the 2.2, as Keith does on his videos, he's extremely a good marksman. Depending on the state that you're in Florida, we require 30 caliber or better for small game or large game.
Hogs excluded because invasive, though. Don't forget.
Hogs are excluded because they're invasive, so you can shoot them with a 22, a 177. There's no restriction on those. However, for ethical or a quick kill, 25 would be better to the head.
Correct.
Yeah, you and I had a conversation earlier on center mass shots versus headshots, which is more humane on a hog. Do you have some experiences you want to relay there?
As far as more humane, the quickest kill to any living creature on Earth is a headshot. That's the nervous central, that's your CPU right there, your computer. As far as a body shot with a pellet on a hog, I wouldn't recommend it. It would injure the animal, and it would probably bleed for a long time, and you might not even find it. So behind the ear on a hog, 40, 50 pounds, 100 pound, you're looking at any 25 grain or better. I mean 25 caliber or better. 500 600 feet per second or better. Anything other than that, you're probably just gonna stick a BB in, and these animals are pretty hardy, and you're just gonna injure them.
Great contribution.
Yeah, that's
Thank
awesome.
you. Great
So-
message, great contribution.
So
Good job.
0.25 would be the way to go if you're doing hog hunting.
But
or higher. Higher would be ideal.
But be
too.
mindful. He's also saying be
State laws.
in head versus
Yeah.
Senator Masson. Be
Yeah.
mindful of your local laws.
That's a good point.
Mhm.
And I guess if you don't want to have multiple air guns for depending on the game, there are now some multiple barrel options that you could look into too, or interchangeable.
Yeah, you can. FX is really big into their interchangeable. You buy one gun, you can get all these different size
Yeah.
barrels. 177-222530 357.
Yeah, so a little more economical.
If you want to be economic, the Dreamline lineup is a great place to look. Start.
177. Yep, Dreamland does all the way up to 30.
Yep,
caliber.
30 caliber and Dreamlines, right?
Perfect. Okay, cool. That was good.
Thank you. Well done.
Okay, so next one, it was posted to the FX Crown Continuum Setup Guide. This is from Simple Simon. Steve, a small question if I may. The front power wheel on my rifle will not move off maximum when turning. Or sorry, trying to turn the wheel, it feel like it's super glued inside a hell of a lot of resistance. Any idea would be gratefully received.
So,
Commas and periods are ideal.
it's a great question. I've done that twice, and there's two ways in which you can be in that situation. One, you only want to adjust that exterior hammer spring power wheel when the hammer spring is not under tension, meaning the gun is not cocked. So if you cock the gun and go to adjust it, it's going to be super, super hard to turn, and it's not going to be good for the gun. The other instance in which I've seen that is if I've adjusted the internal hammer spring adjuster too high, so that the spring is too far compressed. You can reach a point. The first point you'll reach is where the wheel is difficult to turn.
Yeah.
If you continue to tighten, you won't be able to move the wheel at all. So like when I'm tuning for max power, like on the Dreamline that I recently did, I worked that hammer spring up as much as I could, but then backed it off 3 or 4 turns to where the power wheel could still rotate very freely. And then I went to work trying to match the regulator pressure to the hammer spring pressure, so there's balance, and that's how I got the 95 foot-pounds out of the 30 cal Dreamline.
Awesome.
Yeah, another one.
Yeah, good. Please
Can I
contribute.
borrow your gun there, sir?
It's
All right.
safety.
So, another thing to keep consideration on is the screw that's in here. It holds the power wheel in place. If it's over tightened, it will also not allow it to turn as well. Especially if you're turning it clockwise, it's gonna jam that screw going clockwise. I recommend backing out that screw about a quarter turn, preferably with blue Loctite to hold it in place. If that's not solving your problem, then it's probably one of the other solutions that these guys have here.
But adding to that though, on the flip side, if that screw is too loose, then when you cock it, it's going to rotate by itself. It's not going to have any preload on it.
Yeah, so I run a couple of groups on Facebook. I'll show you as well.
Nice and loud for everybody
So-
back home.
Something that I've run into, a lot of guys ask on the opposite end of the spectrum, like Izzy was saying here. Some guys will say, oh, well, I'm shooting my gun, but the wheel, every time I shoot it, the wheel starts spinning. It goes back to minimum. And that, again, is normally from having your screw too loose. You can see there's just enough play in there so you can adjust. But if the screw is too loose and you go to fire, it will kick it past your detent in there, your ball detent, and cause it to rotate back to minimum or another power setting. And that's not a good situation to be in either.
Good deal. Good contribution.
Awesome.
You guys are doing a great job.
So
Y'all done
moral-
this before?
No.
It's the first time you met, right?
Yeah.
Today. So I guess moral of the story is not too tight, not too loose, and join a club because holy shit, like you can get all your questions
Yeah.
answered.
And if it's cocked, it's just not going to turn. It's going to
Yeah.
just bind.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Next question. This is to the Air Arms Crossport .22.
Pro Sport.
Sure. Yeah.
Pro Sport. It's a brake barrel, or it's an under lever cocking spring gun.
Oh, good to know. This is from the Shooting Dutchman. Does anyone know if a heavier spring can be installed to boost FPS
feet per second.
Feet per second
Velocity.
in power. Heavier
I'm not
spring
sure.
can be installed.
Anybody?
On that
Used-
specific one.
Technically you can, but it's gonna have a really high recoil, which is probably gonna reduce your accuracy as well, and it's gonna make it a lot louder.
Totally agree with that. If I were to answer that question, one of the things I loved about the Pro Sport is, if I remember, it's been like 2 years since I reviewed it. It's like a 14, 15 foot-pounds of energy gun in 22. And that's what makes it so freaking fantastic. As soon as you start taking a spring gun and trying to move it up into that Magnum Springer territory of 20 foot-pounds or more, not only do they get really difficult to shoot consistently well with, but they're not fun anymore.
Correct.
You get a lot of boing, you get a lot of twang, it's very jarring. It takes, I mean, the whole beauty of a gun like that is that it's civil and it has manners and it's easy to shoot well and it's fun and it's beautiful and it's tuned to do great just how it is. I mean, I was able to shoot 3/4 inch groups at 50 yards with that gun as it is.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. Does it say why he wanted more power?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I've read about people taking guns like this is one of my old guns, the Benjamin here. And I've read where people have taken that gun specifically and stuck a nitro piston in it instead of the Springer style piston. But same thing as he's saying, the trade-offs there. You lose some of the 50-yard groups that you were getting. And this thing, beautiful gun, I love it, it's tuned nicely. But to cock it, wow, a lot of power.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you load, put it back, and when you're shooting it, same thing. You get the little bit of recoil that you just wouldn't get in a fine-tuned gun like that.
That's another great point, the cocking. Like if you want to spend a nice afternoon, like 60 pounds, like 200 or 300 times, that also kind of takes the fun out of a, you know, if you want a Magnum Springer, just go buy a Magnum Springer. It's going to be great for 20 yards, but as soon as you're trying to push things to 30, 40, 50, or 75, it's going to be really difficult to shoot good groups with consistently.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Was it
Thank
good?
you.
All right, great.
Okay, next one is on the Gamo Swarm Maxim .22. This is from Sleep Eating Outdoors. The question is, those foot-pounds per second numbers seemed pretty low. Is the Gen 2 any faster? The Gamo Mach 1 is rated 1020 foot-pounds per second and shoots 14 grain at 140-ish foot-pounds per second. Am I just inserting numbers, foot-pounds per second? No, that's right.
I just wonder if you're being loud enough when you're reading.
Okay.
And I think you meant feet per second.
Maybe. I'm just going to read the acronym.
Read it again, just louder.
Here we go. Those FPS numbers seem pretty low. Is the Gen 2 any faster? The Gamo Mach 1 is rated 1020 FPS and shoots 14 grain at 140-ish FPS.
So does anyone want to go or should I start?
Go ahead.
All right, so I've got a review out there of the Gamo Swarm Maxim, and the thing's got like 500,000 views. And one of the most common reader comments is, you're getting 600-700 feet per second in your review, but the box said it does over 1,000.
Oh, PBA.
Yes.
PBA.
So what you guys want to remember is that Gamo's a business, right? And most air gunners aren't like the group you see here. They're not really educated. Faster velocity in an air gun is not always your friend in the moment. So for example, does anyone have a pellet on them?
Got a gun?
I'll put a picture up. I'll put a picture up on the screen. But that Diablo-shaped pellet that looks like basically a parachute wearing a skirt. They don't travel very well through the air once you get above 850 or so feet per second. They don't want to. This shape right here is a shape that wants to be stable 600, 700, 800 feet per second. So as soon as you take this and you push it to 1,000, it starts to do this as it's going down range. But these companies, everyone is so caught up in power and velocity. You know, if that's your deal, you know, maybe a center fire or a powder burner rifle is better for you. But
the way they're getting that speed and putting it on there, it's not a fake speed, it's not a fake number. So this right here is a lead pellet. So what they'll do is they'll take the lead pellet, make a very similar mold to that, and they mold it out of a tin or other alloy that is lead free, which is lighter. The lighter, you're going to get lower FPS, you're going to get higher FPS but lower FPE. You're going to get the higher velocities, but you're going to get lower impact force.
Yeah.
With the lead, you're going to get, you can tune your gun high, but the swarm, a lot of the guys in one of my other groups, the iguana hunters, they're shooting the swarm all day. It's cock shoot, cock shoot, cock shoot. And they're using what Steve's using, lead, to do the review. They're not using the PBA stuff. You can get it. Mileage may vary. I haven't had great luck with the PBA stuff in targets at any range. I mean, it's great to throw numbers on the board, but I'm not getting great accuracy with them.
To his point, that's circling back, that's the point I was trying to make. This is a business, and they know that speed and velocity sells, right? So they need to get in your wallet to maintain their business. And so they write that on the box, shooting a very, very lightweight projectile. And the problem with lightweight projectiles is they tend not to be accurate, especially in the wind, and they don't carry their energy downrange well at all. So
they're not a good hunting choice.
No, they're not a great hunting choice. So I loved the Gamo Swarm Maxim,
Yeah.
and remembering back, it's been like 4 years, but if I remember, with like a 14 grain pellet, that thing was like 700-ish feet per second, which is a beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
It cocks easy, it's easy to shoot consistently well. With lead, it's getting the energy down range, but as soon as you go to a tin or a plastic pellet at 1,000 feet per second, your accuracy just went out the window, and you're not transferring any energy to the target if hunting is important to you. That's basically
No,
what
that's
everyone's saying.
100% correct.
Another thing on there is the bearing surface of the pellet or projectile and how slick the barrel is inside too. So the alloy pellets will have a slicker bearing surface than the pellet will, but the pellets are a lot softer. They conform to the rifling, which is where they get slowed down a little bit more than it would with the alloy pellets.
And let's play devil's advocate, all right? So there are benefits to non-lead projectiles. Of course, the environmental stuff that we're all familiar with.
That's just a slow.
Yeah, but also, if backdrop is a concern, then a tin or an alloy pellet or a PBA, those are great things to have for short range work because they won't carry the energy. So let's say you're working on a dairy farm and you're doing some pesting for that farmer. You don't want to necessarily be shooting lead all over the place because the cows are eating grain off the ground. You're going to be putting holes in the guy's roof when you go through, Tweety Bird or whatever. So there's definitely great places for tin. Just understand they're all tools in your toolbox to be used different ways, different times. But the engineers of the Gamo Swarm Maxim are very, very intelligent people. Just remember that the marketing department is very separate from the engineering department. One's designed to get in your wallet and to sell guns at big box stores where people don't know any better. But then they've also developed the gun to work properly at 700, 600, 700, 800 feet per second with lead.
So I notice this comment a lot. People always say, oh, that seems pretty low, that seems pretty low. I mean, what's too low? You're using this for a reason, right? You're going out to either plank, you're going out to pest, you're going out to hunt.
Sure.
At what point does it not get the job done?
Whoops. If you think about all of our friends across the pond in the United Kingdom,
Yeah.
they're all sub 12 foot-pounds, and they're a culture of very avid rabbit and squirrel hunters, and so they're shooting, 11 grain pellets at 600 feet per second and doing their job. I think
have something to add to that.
Yeah, come on.
As far as speed, I mean, we do speed for range and long distance, but I can tell you right now, with the 50 grain JSB on a brake barrel, a hot sun brake barrel, the carnivore, at about 30 yards on a hog's head, this one here at about 560 feet per second, it'll drop them instantly. So speed is A lot of people want speed and penetration. You're talking about a pass through. How far with that pellet or that slug, like a bullet, how far, or with archery, how far do you want that arrow to go? 30, 40 yards after you went through the deer or hog? It's the same thing with it.
It's a good point. You know, when I do my like really scientific reviews, velocity comes into play in two situations. One, when I'm worried about drop, you know, so are you lollipopping that pellet or is it shooting flat? You know, with the trajectory, that becomes important if you want to sight in at 50 yards and have the gun still work for you out at 100, right? You need the velocity to keep that trajectory flat. The other place where I found velocity as your friend is in the wind. If I'm shooting at 500-600 feet per second and I have a 3-mile-an-hour crosswind, my deflection could be 4 inches at 50 yards. But if I'm up around 900 feet per second, you know, my deflection might be 3/4 of an inch at 50 yards. So again, it's all about understanding all of it,
So
having
the whole
all those
context.
arrows in your quiver,
Yeah.
and being able to deploy them. Right tool for the job at the right time, right situation.
So it sounds like, long story short, the velocity does not dictate the power, the quality, the accuracy of that gun. It's going to be what are you using it for?
The needs assessment.
What's the context? The needs assessment. That's a good word.
Yeah.
So needs assessment, the context, you know, and that's where the tweaking comes in. That's where the fun of an air gun comes in. Is you're gonna factor a lot of different variables into that equation.
And especially with a brake barrel.
Yeah.
Because velocity is not your friend in a brake barrel. It gets harder to cock and the accuracy goes to shit.
Yeah.
I also want to add to that, like once you're shooting like lead-free pellets and you're in the 1,000 range, you're getting close to breaking the sound barrier, so it's gonna crack.
Yep.
So yeah, so I don't know, depending on what you're planning to use with it, shooting over 1,000, it's gonna be loud for neighborhoods, and for hunting, it's gonna scare the animals away.
It's a great point.
So you're not gonna get that second shot.
Great point, Donnie.
Speaking of that, there's definitely been times where
Come on up here so they can hear you.
there's definitely been times where this or this Gammo Hunter Extreme and the Benjamin here, my kid's shooting in the backyard and here comes the law enforcement agent walking around going, hey, we had a call. Oh, it's just pellet guns. Okay, you're good, but still, they thought it was a 22 rimfire being shot in the backyard, and nothing we could do, even with the bull barrel suppression or anything, with that with the pellets we were shooting at the time, just breaking the sound barrier, you know, not
And-
neighborhood friendly.
And to their point, when that pellet breaks the sound barrier, your accuracy has definitely gone to shit.
Yep.
I mean, you're going to be like, why is this? Because one of the most common things you read is, oh, those springers, those things, you couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Well, that's because one, they're difficult to shoot well, and two, you're shooting too light of a projectile, breaking the sound barrier.
Yep.
Get some lead in there, get it down to 600, 700, 800 feet per second, and watch how well it does.
Good discussion, guys. Great job. Okay. So next question.
Are we about 5 or 6? Let me know when we're about
1, 2,
halfway.
3, 4, 5.
We're at 5?
We're at 5.
Perfect.
I got 5 more.
I got a question for these guys.
Oh my god.
You ready?
Oh my god. We're
Where's
6 in.
everybody's
We're 6 in.
favorite
We got
place
6
to
left.
shop for their air gunning supplies?
Airguns of Arizona!
All right, great job.
Except for Robert. Okay. So, next question. This is about the Omega Trail Charger suppressor. This is from Johnny Venturino.
Wait, the Omega Trail Charger what?
Can we be excused?
Oh, what did I say?
Suppressor?
Compressor.
Yeah, sure.
Omega Trail Charger compressor. This is from Johnny Venturino. Steve, where can I buy one of them tank cup stands on the bottom of your tank? The black cup stand. People have been asking about.
Where's everybody going?
They gotta go.
Work, pick up his
Oh,
kid.
thank you guys.
Hey, your
Very good
tank's on
meeting
the
you.
table too, don't forget.
Yeah, a lot of.
Sorry.
Shut it.
Thanks for your help, guys.
I got my kid. I got
That's good. It was really good meeting you.
Love you guys.
So I get
Good call.
that question a lot, and the guy that has the best tank boots is Joe Brancato, and his website is airtanksforsale.com. Like I've tried a couple of them, and wherever he gets them, or however, those are the best ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's doing better now. He's recovered.
What happened?
You know,
Well, don't tell
you
everybody.
can ask him.
All right,
but
all right.
yeah.
Don't tell
No,
everybody.
he posted online. He had a little bit of a health issue,
Okay.
but he's out of the hospital. He's doing well.
Good.
And guys are posted online, seeing him in the shop making money again.
Oh,
Good,
nice.
good, good.
So-
That's
Joe
awesome.
Brancato, airtanksforsale.com.
And it's called a tank boot.
It's got a tank boot.
Okay. So next question. This is about the Wairau, I said that right.
You guys want to help her?
Spell it.
No.
So this is funny because like
Wyra.
everyone in the videos all the time corrects me on how I.
W-E-I-H-R-A-U-C-H.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
What? See, you say Y-Rock.
The funny thing is like everyone corrects
It's
me
not
on how to
Weichert
say it,
Realtors.
but I have spent time with Mr. Hans Wyra.
Aha! I did get it right.
Wyra.
Okay.
That's how
Wyra.
that's how they
Okay.
said it. Wyra.
Okay, so
That's how they say their
this
name.
is about the Wyrow HW35E. This is from Monkey332. Question: why have 2 channels? Makes it a bit harder having to jump between channels for me to find info I'm looking for.
Why 2 YouTube channels?
Yeah, as opposed to like what?
So there was a lot of reasons that I did that. I think when I first did it, what got me thinking about it is that Ted had done it and
Yeah.
Giles had done it.
Yeah.
So I started thinking, well, maybe there's a good reason for me to do it. And I started thinking, all right, what's a good reason for me to do it? And at that time, there was some pretty strong censorship with
Oh
YouTube.
yes, I remember when that happened.
Yeah, that was it was March of 2018.
Yeah.
All of our channels
They were
started to
taking everybody down left and right.
vanishing at the same time,
Yeah.
and it was a big mistake, and YouTube fixed it, so it was all good.
But it's scary as hell for people who make a living via YouTube.
Yeah, if that's your primary source of how you provide for your family, well, that got me to thinking. I'm like, I better have a backup YouTube channel. So that's how the vlog came to be. And then what it evolved into was the sponsors really liked that. They looked at that as like more lines cast out into YouTube, kind of a broader net thrown.
And
So-
it is 2 different audiences. I mean, the vlog channel is a little bit more casual, but it tends to be much more in depth than.
Well, that was the other
AEAC
piece
home.
of it. So I liked it because it really appealed to the sponsors. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to run with this. And then what it evolved into is 2 complete, like when I review a gun, the vlog is all about my discovery and approach. And the full review on the other YouTube channel, if you guys are new here, the Airgun Exploration and Advancement channel is my primary YouTube channel, AEAC Home. Not this one, but that channel was the full review. And I started catering it to 2 different learning types. Like there's 2 different types of brains. There's the type of brain that does not want to know anything about the journey. They just want to know the destination and the hardcore facts. Okay?
It's me.
And there's another type of brain that care very much about the journey, and the way they learn is they want to understand all of the nuances that got you to the destination. So I started catering the 2 channels to the 2 different things. The vlog is for the person that wants to understand process and approach and validation of all that. And the full review is like the distilled down, here's the nuts and bolts, facts and results of putting the gun through its paces.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a very select few that kind of cross both.
I'm
And that-
one of those guys. There's some days where I just
One of-
There's some days where I just want. Okay, he tuned in and did this. What did he do? What were the numbers? And I'll go through and I'll watch one video. Other days it's 4 or 5 weeks later and I want to sit down and watch something else about how it was done, what got him up to that, what led him to thinking that this FPS on that gun was where I wanted to be. And I'll sit down and I'll watch the journey from A to B on the vlog. Or when one's released before the other and they don't drop at the same time, you know, I'll reference one or the other first. But I'm one of the guys who do jump back and forth.
Thank you. And I appreciate that. And the other thing is the video, if I had one, well, I guess I could put them both on one channel.
You could.
But I like having the backup in case something happens
Yeah.
to one, I still have the other. And I really like how it's kind of like one's like school and one's like a very typical YouTube review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it basically started out as something completely different, as a safety net, realistically for us, and then evolved into just 2 different kind of types of information, and I guess the in-depthness of the information.
Yep. And I do want to add one thing. The important thing, guys, about keeping the sponsors happy is the happier the sponsors are, the more product I receive
Yep.
to review for you guys. So it's a very reciprocal relationship that way. Symbiotic. I'm always looking for ways to incentivize them to keep me busy on my behalf and your behalf.
Yeah.
And they really like the 2 channels.
It just goes full circle. We
Yep.
help him, he helps us.
Yep, we're
Or
in
vice
this
versa.
together.
Cue Circle of Life theme song.
Simba.
Simba!
You gonna sing it for us, honey?
No.
You can't
Maybe
sing.
on the way
Do
out.
it.
On the way out.
On the way out,
No,
you
we're
sing
not.
it.
Okay. Okay, so something to look forward to, guys. So this next question is on the .177 Daystate Red Wolf. It's from Joe Lewis. Any chance you'll get your hands on a Delta Wolf? Holy shit, how many times have I read that question?
A lot. So people are very excited for the new Daystate Delta Wolf. It's the next evolution of the Red Wolf, which has been out for, people don't realize that MCT and GCU technology, it's been around 20 years.
Yeah.
So it was time for that product to evolve. If you've missed it, holy shit, you need to check out my vlog on the setup guide and the full review of that gun at 50 and 100 yards in 177 with slugs. This is pretty freaking mind-blowing, the performance and how easy it is to tune. But I forgot the question.
When are you going to do the
Oh yeah, the Delta Wolf. So you realize that I just now reviewed the Red Wolf, and I've been trying to get one for 2 or 3, maybe 3 years. So I think what's going on is Airgun, like my sponsors know that I'm a very honest reviewer, and I tell them all the same thing. If you're not okay with me being honest about what I find and sharing that with the audience, please just don't send the gun, no harm nor foul, we're all still friends. So I think what Airguns of Arizona does is they're not going to take a brand new gun and send it to a
They're
reviewer.
still tweaking it.
They're going to make sure that that gun's been out a couple years, they've got all the bugs worked out of it, because they know when they send it to a reviewer, they're going to do their job. If they're a good reviewer, they're going to do their job and review it and relay all that information. That's what I think's going on, so I probably won't see it for a couple of years is my best guess.
Good guess.
I really think that's, yeah.
Okay, next question. This is about the Benjamin Bulldog .357. It's from Josh W. Hey,
Someone
friend.
here had a bulldog, didn't he
He
leave?
just left.
Ah.
Yeah, Ryan just left.
He loves that thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, friend, can you do a video of the new Benjamin Kratos in .25? I have no idea. Is it
Kratos.
Kratos?
It's Turkish. I don't know how to pronounce
I
it.
don't know either.
So, two-part answer. So the good news is those of you that have been following me for a long time know that Crosman Corporation has had several changes of leadership over the last 3 years. They've settled into a good place right now. The latest regime has reached out to me and they want to do a lot of work together. And at the same time, I'm not sure if you're aware, but Rexmex Crawl in Turkey, they're manufacturing a lot of those new Crosman guns, Benjamin guns that you're seeing. Well, they reached out as well, and both companies want to do a lot of work going forward on AEAC. So what that probably means to you guys is you're going to see those things.
Yeah.
I only have so much capacity, so what I tend to do is keep each manufacturer at 2 or 3 guns per year, and they all want like 5 or 6. So it's just going to be a process. But
hopefully we'll get to go to Turkey soon.
yeah. Maybe a factory tour video, but I have received in the last week the new Benjamin Marauder semi-automatic from Crosman. And I'm really excited about that. Yeah. But the answer to the question is the relationships are in place, the want is in place, the need is in place.
Yeah, it's just a matter of
It's just a matter of scheduling and getting it on here. I would love to host those products.
So ultimately, yes, but no timeline.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 more questions.
Woo! We're almost
Feel
there.
like we're losing members. We're losing people. Okay, this is about the FX Crown Continuum Setup Guide. It's from Marcelo Oliveira. Good night, my friend. I think that means good evening. Good night, my friend. Can you provide the subtitles in Portuguese in this video or Spanish? Thank you very much.
Oh. So.
You can do it yourself.
Yes. So.
But how will they know if we're saying it in English?
It's a great question. Well, on the bottom, so all of AEAC's content, both on this channel and the other channel, AEAC Home, subtitles are activated with YouTube in every single language across the world.
And you can choose.
And you get to pick that. So the thing about it though is YouTube only has this option available from a desktop. Doesn't work on a mobile device, but from your desktop, you just click on the CC, and then next to that it'll pull up the link, all the languages. You click on your language, and then you'll have the whole video transcribed in
Does anyone
in your
speak
native language.
You speak Spanish?
Yeah.
Can you say that in Spanish?
All right,
See, on the desktop, if you're in YouTube, you're clicked on a video, you're watching it. On the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little emblem that says CC for closed captioning. And if you click on it, you can choose whichever language you want, and it'll create subtitles on the video.
Ok, pues lo que está diciendo la
Very
señora,
Loud. Loud.
lo que está diciendo que en la pantalla, en la esquina de abajo, mano derecha, hay un símbolo que dice CC, marcas ahí y te da las opciones para conseguir las letras en español o portugués, cualquier idioma que
Chinese.
sí, chino también si quieres.
Everything.
Sí, así que abajo en la mano derecha, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Sí, sí.
It only works from a desktop.
Not on mobile.
Tiene que ser una computadora PC, no puede ser en un laptop o en su
Laptop
teléfono.
would be okay.
Laptop.
Laptop would be
Sí.
okay, but no mobile, no phone.
No tablet or something.
Entonces no funciona en los tablets o en el smartphone, el teléfono, pero en los laptops y la computadora PC sí te da la opción.
And both YouTube channels have that inactivated for every
well,
language.
every YouTube has it. YouTube in general
Yeah.
has it. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
the content creator has to go in there and actually
activate
take
that
some
feature.
steps to turn all of that on for every video.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
That was lucky.
Yeah,
You
good
never
job.
get Spanish out
Oh, I
of us.
forgot, you speak Spanish too.
Being bashful.
aprender mucho español aquí, ¿eh?
¿Sí?
No. Everywhere. British and Spanish.
British and Spanish, because British is not English.
There is
English and
Actually,
Spanish.
Welsh.
Well, sorry.
there is closed caption on YouTube mobile.
Boy, everybody is skinning
Oh,
out of
like
it.
the app.
On the app itself on YouTube, there is closed caption for YouTube mobile
Okay.
in the app. See?
Okay, so the app will do it.
So the app will do it. You just press CC at the top right-hand corner.
Now you get to fix
I
it.
just clicked.
Dude,
on it.
tell
That's
me.
it.
But you can't pick the language.
I think it has to be, as you said, enabled in the settings
In the
itself.
video.
I found that it's only
Captions.
available from a desktop.
Auto, yeah, I guess it's maybe auto-generated.
Yep.
Yep.
We're learning.
It's
so
only
desktop or
it's
laptop?
only
Okay.
yeah. What he's saying is, if I have a cell phone and I'm at work,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can turn the sound off and I can hear the video in English
Yeah.
because it'll write it.
Oh, but you can't.
But if
yeah.
you want it in another
In a
language, you have to
language
go
one.
from a desktop.
Okay.
You want me to say it in Spanish?
Go for it.
Go for it.
So, en la aplicación del teléfono sí se puede seleccionar las opciones para que salgan las palabras en la pantalla para traducir de inglés a español, chino, Japón. So, sí se puede.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Cool.
Great job.
Thank you. Okay, so last question, and I
Better job
swear
than
to
I
God, this will be the last time I allow Steve to pick this question. This is posted to the Caliber Cricket. It is from YA.
If I had $1 for
Why
every
did you
time.
pick it?
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm gonna start pelting him with things if he picks up this question again. Can you use a bicycle pump to pump it, or a hand pump?
All right, everybody, on the count of 3, the answer. 1,
No.
2, 3. No! Unless your bicycle pump will pump to 2,000 psi, 4,300 psi, 4,000 psi, whatever.
Yeah.
And the same goes for your shop compressor.
So no. No.
I
No.
do. Somebody needs her mask.
So no. No. The answer is no.
Yeah.
Another thing too is even if it were possible, most of the compressors and pumps we use have water and oil separators. These compressors at home for your shop or your bicycle do not. And if you were to even attempt it, you're most likely introducing moisture inside your bottle or inside your air gun, which is a really bad thing you don't want in there.
Yeah.
What-
Now
what's-
they do make pumps for air guns. They do make hand pumps for air guns.
That will pump to those
that
pressures.
will pump to those pressures. That will work. You will be working out very, very hard to pump your air, whatever, your gun with air every single time. So if you want to dual purpose a workout and going shooting, yes, absolutely, you can
I
do
got
that.
one.
Do
You
you?
don't see?
Yeah, look at
Run!
him. Hey, what was that commenter's name?
YA.
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 So YA, we do owe you an apology that we were being mean and cruel, and I
We
told.
were not.
No, I was being a little mean with it. So, but I get that question
I'm glad you can admit it.
weekly. Well, of course. So we are just having a little bit of fun with you, but 'cause a lot of people
To this day, ask that question.
ask
all
that
the time.
question. They ask it all the time. But
And
it's
the
just
issue why people do ask the question is the hand pump does look like
Yeah.
the Airgun PCP 4500 PSI pump, but the action, it's a dual action pump, and there's different stages in there that compress the air and push it out. So it's completely different, even though they look similar, completely different than a bicycle pump, which can only go up to a max about 90 PSI.
Yeah. So the mechanics are very different of it on the inside. You need, if you're going to use a hand pump, you can use a hand pump. You cannot use a bicycle pump. You can use a hand pump that is specifically made for an air gun.
yeah, and don't forget the water piece.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, is that it?
That's it.
All right.
I'm not singing. I changed my mind.
Let me. I want to thank a couple of people here, Central Florida Airgunners, for inviting us out here.
Yes.
Thanks for
Donnie
coming, man.
FL had a lot to do with that. He's been encouraging me to come out for a long time. I only live an hour and a half from here, so I don't have a good excuse. I was just being busy, I guess. Yep.
Life.
Life happens.
It
Nice.
does. So I apologize for that, guys, but it's been really nice meeting you.
Yeah.
Half of our group has left.
It happens.
Thanks for being in the video. And sincerely, special thanks to Airguns of Arizona for sponsoring this special off-site broadcast of Ask AEAC. Please, sincerely, guys, we've had some fun. Phenomenal organization, incredible depth of knowledge, unbelievably well-versed service department across a gigantic broad stroke of different types of air guns. And they're even an importer, distributor, inventor for our industry. So, and have been in business for a long time out in Phoenix, Arizona. So if for your shopping needs, please give them a try. They'll take great care of you. Anyone else have anything to add? All right, you owe us a serenade.
No.
Yes, dude, come on, do it.
Nope.
I'm gonna walk
Nope.
towards the camera,
Nope.
and as I
Nope.
walk, you better
Okay.
start singing.
I don't know the words.
Find your
No
courage.
problem. Key YouTube.
Can anybody
we'll pull
help
up
her out?
the video.
Think of the Lion King.
The circle of life.